Hello, wrestling fans. Blake Smith from Walking the Ropes, and welcome to another episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review for AEW Rampage from Rochester, New York. To open the show, we had Konosuke Takeshita taking on Eddie Kingston. They lock up and start to feel each other out slowly in the ring. Both men go hold for hold. Um, and they just try to fight their way out and switch to the other hold. It's really well done. Eddie starts to take control. He throws Konosuke to the outside, I believe, and he hurts his back. They're firing hard shots back and forth, and Eddie drops Takeshita, and they start to go back and forth. Nobody gains the edge as each man steals a near fall here and there. But nothing sustained as far as continued offense. They seem to know each other quite well and work really well in the ring together, knowing just where the other's going to be and just hitting a perfectly landed move. They exchange hard shots on the apron, and Eddie goes for an exploder, but Takeshita answers with a German suplex on the apron. He goes for another on the floor, but Kingston answers with his exploder. Back in the ring now, Kingston takes Konosuke takes his head off and slams him down for a near fall. Konosuke hits a big brainbuster out of nowhere and almost steals the match. Back into the exchanging shots right in the center of the ring. Kingston dodges the flying knee. He hits two spinning back fists and falls into the pin for the win. For my WTR scale, I gave that a great. It was fantastic. And for my stand-up performer of the match, I gave it to Konosuke Takeshita. I think that he did fantastic in that match. Athena and Chris Statlander talk about Jade Cargill. They say, they call her a coward and say that she's ignoring real challenges. They are top challengers and they want the TBS championship. For my WTR scale, I gave that a good. I really, really do want to see that title change hands soon. I think she has had it long enough. Hook gets a video package teasing he may be getting some kind of push here. For my WTR scale, I gave it a meh because it was advertised as "we hear from Hook," which I mean we didn't. The Gates of Agony take on Lee Moriarty and Jonathan Gresham. They are the new tag team Tully Blanchard is mentoring in Tully Blanchard Enterprises along with Brian Cage. If Tully can teach them the ways taught FTR, this is going to be an epic team in a few years. Lee Moriarty and Jonathan Gresham are fantastic technical wrestlers, with Gresham being up there with the very best. Gates of Agony jump them to start out and target Lee Moriarty. Toa Leona and Khan tag in and out, double teaming Moriarty and not letting him make any ground to a tag. Lee, though, fights to the corner, but Gresham got distracted by Tully, so Lee couldn't make the tag. I thought it was very strange. It seemed like Jonathan was looking at Lee when it happened. Lee's staying alive, but he is not going to last with this beating from these monsters. Lee keeps trying to make the tag, but whenever he makes some ground, the monsters just come and get him. Lee, though, dumps them to the outside. He goes to make the tag, and Jonathan's right there. He moves his hand and walks away. Lee tries to fight now 2-on-1, but the numbers catch up to Lee as Jonathan and Tully hug. The Gates double team Lee and get the win. For my WTR scale, I gave that a great. I think it's fantastic that we're doing some more with the Ring of Honor World Champion. For my stand-up performer, I gave it to Lee Moriarty. He truly showed his heart in that match. We get Eddie Kingston talking about how good Takeshita is, and now he can turn his attention once again to Jericho and what they did to Ruby Soho. He's going to make them pay for making Kingston a liar, and to make it right, Jericho's going to bleed. He wants him in barbed wire everywhere. He's going to make Jericho bleed for everything he has done. For my WTR scale, I gave that a great. Kingston versus Jericho in a barbed wire death match, I believe gets confirmed later for Fyter Fest Week 2, Shark Week, or whatever. I believe the JAS is going to be suspended above the ring in a shark cage, which is hilarious. We get the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion Mercedes Martinez and Serena Deeb teaming up to take on Kayla Sparks and Christina Marie. Marie starts out with Deeb and she starts to control the match, beating her down. Deeb is taking on both at once now, and then gets in Martinez's face. They double team Marie and Martinez drops her on her head and lays her out as Deeb tags herself in. They take out Kyla and Deeb locks in the Serenity Lock on Marie and they get the win. Deeb and Martinez argue after the match, and Deeb lays out Martinez and locks in the Serenity Lock, and we will likely get a match between these two at Death Before Dishonor. I cannot wait to see that match. These two are fantastic performers, and I've been calling this split since the moment they started coming out as a tag team. For my WTR scale, I gave that a good, because it was, I don't know about you or about anybody else, I literally saw that coming from a mile away. For my stand-up performer of the night, I gave it to Serena Deeb. She obviously turned heel there. Again, further, I guess Martinez turned face, but it was very well done. Tony Schiavone talks with Tully Blanchard and Jonathan Gresham. Gresham says he is the foundation and has not been able to fight while he's been signed for, I believe, since March, he said. Tully gave him this idea and he ran with it. Tony says Lee will get his Ring of Honor title match next week. Until he says there isn't anything left of Lee after what the Gates of Agony did. Says they will all be there and shakes Jonathan's hand. For my WTR scale, I gave that a great. I think it's amazing that Jonathan is teaming up with Tully Blanchard and joining Tully Blanchard Enterprises. I hope, because we haven't seen him, I hope that doesn't mean Brian Cage is no longer a part of Tully Blanchard Enterprises, but I imagine he still is, and maybe he's just going to be specifically on the Ring of Honor aspect of it, but I don't know. Mark Henry talks with the main event competitors and says Orange must win or he will have to sign the petition to remove Swerve Strickland. Danhausen says he can't talk to his client unless he is present and then allows Orange to answer. He says he doesn't care, and Tony says the problem is Orange doesn't take things seriously, and not signing is the biggest mistake he's ever made. For my WTR scale, I gave that a good. Matt Sydal and Lee Moriarty talk about what just happened, and Matt says Jonathan is disrespecting and dishonorable towards Lee. And now they will get the revenge, and Lee will take his Ring of Honor World title on Rampage next week. For my WTR scale, I gave that a good. Orange Cassidy takes on Tony Nese. They could not be more different in styles, and Orange looks to show Tony just what he is capable of. They stand off in the ring, and Orange starts to run his gimmick. Tony tries to get ahead, but Orange keeps his hands in the pockets and keeps on rolling. Tony, though, answers with a big elbow, and they start to go back and forth as Orange goes for something Tony has an answer for and slams him down. Tony takes control, starting to wear down Orange on the outside. They brawl on the apron now, both men going for a suplex, but they come back into the ring and Tony is in control, hitting a springboard suplex and then a leg scissor to keep the pressure on Orange. Orange, though, comes to life and starts to roll. They brawl back and forth now on the top rope. They exchange hard shots. Orange knocks Tony off, and then Mark and Danhausen argue, and Danhausen curses Mark and then is stopped by Tony. Orange takes advantage of this and hits the Stun Dog Millionaire for a near fall, and Orange goes for the Orange Punch, but Tony ducked it and hits a big spinning kick for a near fall. Orange, though, hits two big DDTs and then goes to the top rope again for a diving DDT for a near fall. Mark pulls a soccer and fakes an injury for, I believe, Orange pulling his gimmick on him. Tony hits a pile driver, but Orange stays alive, and Tony goes for a big knee. Orange moves, and he runs into the post. Danhausen stops Mark by low-blowing him, and they brawl to the outside. He then curses Tony, and Orange hits the Orange Punch for the win. For my WTR scale, I gave that a great. The stand-up performer for the match, I gave to Tony Nese. He really does impress in the ring. He's very, very good at the ring. That for the show is it. I gave the overall a great. My segment of the night goes to the barbed wire match being made. I can't wait to see how that goes. My match of the night goes to Takeshita versus Kingston. And my performer of the night goes to Orange Cassidy. He is just always able to pull wins out of nowhere, and it's fantastic. That is all for this episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review. Thank you all for dropping in. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notifications whenever we upload a video. And I will see you in the next one.